Welcome to a special edition of Jack's Corner where truth and reality have a seat at the table. Remember, the truth doesn't murder, only the lie does. And today I have only one message because all we need to do right now is to be focused on the tragic death of Charlie Kirk, and I don't want to take anything away from that. Today is a sad day. The saints mourn and the damned rejoice. But Judgment Day comes and is coming, and it's coming for them. The well-planned and orchestrated assassination of Charlie Kirk will not accomplish the goals of the assassins, and it is not just one man, there are accomplices. I have followed Kirk for years. I've been with him, I know his friends, and I spoke with some of them yesterday. I went from shock to anger over this shooting, but in this new and fresh day, I'm not grieving for the man Charlie, because I know of one thing for sure. Charlie Kirk is standing before the one who will bring judgment to the shooter and his accomplices. Charlie is in paradise and overwhelmed with joy right now. He's not in pain, and Charlie is an example of what all Christians need to do and to be. To Christians, of which I am one, let me remind you that Charlie Kirk got out of the pews and spread the good word and the good news. He had a command of Scripture, and to put it to good use, he did it in trying to show people the truth, not just in his faith, but in how it is to be applied in our country, our government, and politics. Charlie did not believe in a sissified Jesus that Vodi Bakum warns us about all the time. Every Christian, Republican, conservative, and independent should feel a great loss today over what happened to Charlie and his family. On top of that loss, you should feel a rage that motivates you to go out and avenge the truth that Charlie spoke. This is not a 72-hour news story and shouldn't be. This is a call to arms, and it is shameful, basically, what it takes to motivate so-called good people to do something and to take action and to be a participant in the political life of their country. I love how the left and your brainwashed kids are smearing in your faces right now with glee over their faces regarding Charlie Kirk's death, because maybe now some of you will see in unfiltered terms just how evil the left is and what it has done to our country and your children. Charlie Kirk recently posted a tweet that read, quote, "Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would at least be somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk, and 55% said the same about Donald Trump." In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies maximally violent response. This is the natural outgrowth of the left-wing protest culture tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. End quote. Folks, what they did to Kirk yesterday wasn't about him. The bullet was not really for him. It was for you. Me and hundreds of others like me and Charlie are trying to wake up the lazy Christians, Republicans, conservatives, those addicted to their comforts and conveniences, and just regular clueless people who think that they can just go about their lives ignoring politics and the corruption of the Democrat left in this country. Remember, 120 million people over the last 100 years thought the same thing about communism, and they were murdered and exterminated by those on the left and those who are in our government today and in our media. I hope this tragedy wakes people up because as it stands now, things have gone so far, and I warned you about this, that you are either going to die standing or kneeling. I know where I want to be. I want to see hundreds of thousands of students and young people who loved Charlie to take up this cause and take back their country from the mess that their parents made of it through their toxic toleration of the psychotic left. In some respects, Charlie was more of a parent than many out there. Some of you who have not seen some of the atrocious comments from the left and people in the government upon learning of Charlie's assassination, I want you to see the monsters you have been ignoring. Listen to this. The assistant dean of students at Middle Tennessee State University posted on X, Looks like old Charlie spoke his fate into existence. Hate begets hate, zero sympathy. She has since been fired. And this type of action we need to have going on all across the country. We need to rid ourselves of this toxin and of these type of people. Here's another one. An anesthesiologist by the name of Tatiana Atkins in Miami, Florida, made a video saying, "I'm really glad Charlie just got himself effing shot." Can you imagine somebody like that who's about to put you under for surgery? Wouldn't you be worried that somebody that is so psychotic would ever bring you out or wouldn't do their job properly? Another medical employee posted a video on social media explaining some of these views are dangerous, and I'm glad he got shot. Hopefully he dies. I don't care. That's a quote. A New Orleans firefighter posted online, quote, "I think he should be forced to carry that bullet in his body. That bullet has the right to be there because it's a gift from God," end quote. There are countless other videos of this heinous behavior, and they all have one thing in common. They proudly belong to the Democrat left. But there is more. Yesterday in Congress, upon receiving the news of Charlie Kirk's death, House Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado asked Speaker Johnson that someone lead a spoken prayer on behalf of Kirk and his family. The New York Times reports that, quote, Democrats jeered loudly, end quote, at this request. Governor Gavin Newsom has come out condemning the acts of violence. Yet just recently he said on his podcast, quote, "I'm sorry, I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that, but right now, with all due respect, we're walking down that damn different path. We're fighting with fire, fire with fire, and we're going to punch these son of a bitches in the mouth," end quote. That's your governor of California that wants to be president. Other Democrat leaders have condemned the assassination like Nancy Pelosi. Yet this is the same woman who said, quote, "I just don't know why there are not uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be," end quote, and has called upon Trump supporters and called them, quote, "enemies of the state." Don Lemon, that disgraced and fired newscaster and talking head, said previously, and this has been going on, folks, for years, quote, "The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right." Now, here's a term many don't know, but this is part of the agenda of the Democrat left. It's called stochastic terrorism. It is where you demonize an individual enough such that the likelihood of harm coming to them becomes a probability. Yes, sticks and stones will break your bones, but the left knows that their words can also get their opponents shot and killed. The Democrat left is directly responsible for the violent outcomes that we are seeing around the country and, in fact, the world. As some have reported, the anger on the right is explosive, and the leftist organizations are retreating like the ocean on the beach just before a tsunami. And they better. We are seeing retractions and distancings and firings, which are all well and good, but this can't just be a temporary thing, folks. This must be sustained, and we must be the tsunami that finally crashes upon the beach of the lunacy and leftist psychosis that has gripped the country for way too long. Shame on us that a good and great man like Charlie Kirk had to die to get so many of us off of our dead asses. Charlie took a bullet for you, a bullet that was and is intended for Mr. and Mrs. Regular America. The least you can do is honor the death and sacrifice of Charlie Kirk by taking up his cause, and if for no other reason than for your children who are being brainwashed by the lunatics in our schools and universities, where Charlie was spreading the word of truth because parents paid to have their children mentally abused and deformed by the psychos that are teaching them in the institutions of higher education. And that those institutions, the universities, the colleges, the high schools, became Charlie's battleground. The next time you hear of a wacko professor teaching absurd political things unrelated to the course, drown that institution in condemnation and sue them and get the professor fired. This goes for your high schools and your school districts. Moreover, you have the power to change the nation's narrative and the national narrative. And for example, you can Bud Light them. Bud Light the corporations that push DEI agenda. I haven't shopped at Target for 6 years, and I have a list of other companies as well that I will not patronize because of the poison they spread. I haven't watched a De Niro movie since he went nuts over Trump. There are over a dozen actors whose movies I will not watch or patronize because they just use the money to spread the lies and deception that they love to spread. And the list could go on and on. You have the power and can tell the corporations in America what is acceptable and not because you control your wallet. It's time to take Charlie Kirk's message across the nation. And as the main character said in the movie years ago, Network, you need to get as mad as hell and say that you're not going to take it anymore. Mean it, act on it, and never forget the bullet that took Charlie's life was meant for you. Well, that's it for today, folks, for this special edition. I'll be in Washington, D.C. next week with the Conservative Policy Institute, and I'll be meeting with some of Trump's cabinet members. I'll have a lot more to talk about next week, but it was important for me to get this message out to you with regard to Charlie. My prayers, true prayers, not just thoughts and prayers, because I do pray, and I do pray to the God, the real God that brings salvation, and I pray for his family and his 2 young children that were left behind. And I want you to use this opportunity to take the kind of action that maybe you have been sitting back and not doing. You need to be a part of the solution and not just an observer. So with that, this is Jack's Corner. I'm Jack Richardson.